Welcome back. So now it's time to try and see if we can get dependency injection up and running. Now I know that to kind of define in our setup right here, to define the dependency injection, what I want is an interface for all my classes that I want to dependency inject, including the printer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a new class right here, new file, and it's going to be an interface, and it's going to be an iPrinter. So it's pretty much just a way for me to define a printer inside my setup right here. And that one is just going to stay as an iPrinter for now. I can start adding methods into it later if I want to, but the important thing is that my printer extends from it, right? So now I've pretty much provided a way for me to dependency inject this guy as well, and if I want to later change the printer, I can just do that however I want. So let's just have a look if there's anything in here. There's something called start UI, but it's all called right now inside the actual printer. But what we could do is we can move this guy into a public method instead, just to have something in our interface. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump in here, going to jump into my interface, and then I'm going to add this as the only function that we want inside our interface, so that when we've created our first printer, we can actually ask it to start the UI in the next couple of lessons. Sweet. So now that we have a printer, it's time to start looking at working with a printer, right? Now, in order to start using dependency injection, we have to add a dependency. So I'll right-click right here and I'll say Add Package. And in here, I'll get a list of the different NuGet packages that you can add. It's a very simple system, a very simple way for us to kind of work with third-party libraries, and also Microsoft's own libraries will also be available in here. And you'll see some of these we'll start using later on, like the NT framework, JSON, conversion with Newton Soft. There'll be a lot we can start using. But for now, what we're looking for is dependency injection. Let's see if we can find the one that I need right here. Just one word, no spaces, anything like that. And if I scroll down, there's one called Microsoft Extensions Dependency Injection. That's the one I want. So I pretty much just add a check mark right here, and I say Add Package. And automatically it'll try to install that package for me. And it'll pop up and say, are you sure you want it? And by the way, if you want it, you also need the abstraction package. I'll just say accept. I want all of it. And then hopefully when we're done, I'll get a new library called NuGet, and here you'll see the dependency injection right here. So we need this because we need to kind of make some Microsoft specific stuff. And I might as well just tell you, a lot of this will look like rocket science. You're not supposed to know all the classes behind the scenes. Microsoft wrapped that up for us, so it's easy for us. What we're going to do is we're going to explain how does a printer look, how does the repository, how does that look, how does the service look. So we're going to try and dependency inject all those classes, and in the end hopefully we can end up calling the printer's new function that we just made called start UI, right? So let's just try doing that. Step one is adding some area where we can put in all our different packages, so we can figure out when the program is running, when I need an iPrinter, what class should I open, right? So we're going to do that, and that's called a service collection. Let's just make a service collection here. Collection. So I'm doing a service collection here, and it might not be that helpful, but it is called a service collection. So let's just see if we can find it. There we go. And let's just command dot this. There we so see it uses dependency injection. I'll say yes, and now I have a service collection. Now think of this as pretty much a map or hash map or something like that that can contain all my different pieces of the puzzle to kind of get this program running. And again, this is something you have to put somewhere, and right now we're going to use this area to do it. Later on when we use the REST API, we'll get a lot of help from that. That's why I kind of want to use this setup right here. When we have the service collection, we can start adding our dependencies. So we can start defining dependency injection right here, and what we'll do is pretty much we have some different choices. For now, let's just add scoped. I'll dive into this later what that means. And what I need to define is pretty much two areas right here. I need to define what I want to create. And in this case, I want to create an iRepository, iCustomer repository. And now I decide what that iCustomer repository should be. And in this case, what I want it to be is the implementation called customer repository, right? Now this is all I had to do. Let me just give you some more room. This is all I have to do now. And if I later on want to switch to the repository 2 that I talked about earlier, I only need to change it here. And all over my code, it'll say, okay, we need to dependency inject an iCustomer repository. And right now, the guy developing this console app decided this is the one we should use. This is the implementation class. Sweet, let's do it for the other things. Our service collection also needs another scope version. Let's just do scope still. I customer service, right? We also had a customer service somewhere. Customer service. And let's just import that. And then we need to decide what customer service we want to use, and that's of course the customer service implementation. Now the third piece of the puzzle, you guessed it, that's of course again our service collection. We need to add something once more, and this time what we're going to add is an iPrinter, right? iPrinter, and that's of course our beautiful printer that we already talked about. Now the reason I cannot do it like this with a new keyword is pretty much just I need to send in the customer service somehow, and I'll just let my dependency injection take care of that for me. So I don't have to do it manually, I can just let that take care of it. Now we need to do one more thing, and that's of course, when all of this is running, I need to get the printer back, because I need to use the printer to actually call start UI. How do we do that? Well, let's get the final step up and running right here. First, I'm going to need something called a service provider right here. So let's just go and use the service collection, build service provider. Now this is kind of a way for me to initialize and start my service right here, and now I can start pulling out the actual implementations and start using them in my code. Don't worry, I know this is madness, and it's just something you need to accept for now. All of this is built in REST APIs for us, but still, this gives an overview about the work you have to do to start using pure dependency injection. Now to kind of get the printer, I'm going to use the service provider, and then I'm going to get required service iPrinter. So pretty much saying I need this service now. Okay, I need to get this specific implementation for the printer that you've made for this system, and the final step is I'm going to use the printer to do the start UI. There we go. Now I know this is madness, this is craziness, but the cool thing is I could do exactly the same thing in a unit test. That might not sound that cool yet, but it will be as soon as we start testing. But sweet. Now we've set up everything and we can try and run our program, and hopefully, let's do it in the next lesson, and hopefully everything will look honky-dory. See you next time. Have fun.